and we have answered the call. For years, you've been saying, Betsy, you're talking about all these great design concepts, but we can't visualize them. You're describing the picture that the listener sent in of their problem, and we wish we could see that picture too. After all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I do my best to describe them, but there's nothing like seeing it for yourself. And that's why Affordable Interior Design, the podcast, now has a YouTube channel. Not only do we have a YouTube channel where you could see recordings and clips of these podcast episodes, we also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and so many other exciting things. You should check it out. Head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/links. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/LINKS. links. And when you go there, you will see links to our YouTube page, our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and more. Please check it out, follow and subscribe so you can see everything I'm talking about.
You don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Hello. There are so many of you looking to start your own business or just having business questions. It's been a really exciting series to do, such a departure from the day-to-day design questions. And I am glad to be back with the last final installation of business question Q&A. So many more have come in. Let me dive right in. But guys, if you have questions, even if they're about business, I don't necessarily have to do an entire series devoted. You could just send one in and I'll do a one-off mixed with the other regular design dilemma questions. Go to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, that's affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. And you can ask your business question any old time. Today, I'm going to try and do a speed round of these because we do have so many that have come in and some are quite short and quite sweet. Without further ado, here we go. Betsy, we have a meeting/interview this week with a luxury home builder. They're interested in subcontracting out their design selections. We'll get a better idea of the scope and expectations during the meeting, but we want to have some ideas on pricing to discuss. Over the phone, he mentioned being interested in design packages from us. This is so vague. We're interested to hear what kind of structure other designers have with builders that have a similar relationship. Thank you, Rhonda. Well, Rhonda, thanks for writing in. I totally understand why you want to feel prepared and want to go into this meeting with enthusiasm and ideas. And of course, we want to give them a sense of the price point, right? But you also don't want to lob out a price before you're clear on the scope of work. And once you say a price, once you put something out there, it's very hard to unring that bell. So it sounds like your initial phone conversation was pretty brief, pretty high level, and not very information packed. And it also sounds like this isn't something that you've done before, and you may not currently be working with a package structure. So what I would do, and what I highly recommend for designers, whether they're meeting regarding a business opportunity or whether they're meeting regarding just a residential design plan, is to go in very curious. So instead of having prepared sort of your idea of packages or your idea of pricing, instead go in with preparation that's more about understanding what the scope of work would be. Really sit down and think about your core questions or what your company does best, and then build your questions around that. Do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? How many clients would you imagine? How long? So I can see that you want to appear professional, but sometimes appearing professional is asking the right questions and then giving them a clear timeline as to when you'll get back with them. So I would ask questions regarding the scope of work. I would ask questions not around the price point that they perceive, but more around their type of client, because understanding who the client is that you'd be working with and that they're working with, understanding what their background is and what their general budget is for the home, right? Finding out that home price will definitely give you insight into how much they'll be able to pay for a design package. And what I would do after that meeting is give a clear timeline as to when I'll get back to the builder with these package models. And then I would build 3 separate packages, a low, medium, and high price point. Now, the reason I would do this is not because that's what you'll ultimately offer the client, but I would do it as a conversation starter for the builder, because then you'll get a sense of which one the builder feels best matches their clientele, or which two, right? Because ultimately, I would hope to end up with 2 packages that have very clear structures around them. Because when you're creating a package product, really when you're working with any client, you want to manage expectations and agreements. So this is what you're going to get. Clearly outline that deliverable. And then this is what I need you to agree to in terms of the price point and timeline, right? And by creating 3 different versions, you'll show the builder that you're flexible. You'll also give it a starting point for conversation and let them know when you pitch this. And speaking of pitching this, you'd have the conversation to ask your questions. You'd give them the timeline of when you're getting back to them. And I would request another meeting when I get back to them. I would send the information a short time in advance. So in advance of the meeting, I would send it maybe the night before the meeting or a couple of hours before the meeting. I don't want them ruminating on it too long so that they completely slam the door. Wait, that was way out of what we were thinking. But I also don't want them to have no time to look at it in advance, where they're talking to us on the spot and maybe saying things that weren't thought through, or they didn't have time to digest what would be included. Again, I don't want you to spend too much time on this, but if you've never worked in a package context before, it's a good exercise to go through, because I do think, as someone who works almost exclusively with a package model, that it's very easy and it leads to less customer confusion and complaint. When everybody knows what they're getting up front and has signed off on what they're getting, then there's so much clarity and usually very little, wait, I thought it was going to be this, or wait, I was expecting to also receive this. I think it'll put you in good standing for future offerings for your own firm, even if this builder does not bite. And then, of course, you can reach out to other builders if this builder does not bite and say, look at this package I have. Look at what I can offer your clientele. Take the feedback that you do get from the builder that you're initially pitching and use it to modify the offerings for the next builder, or even to come back to this one and say, I've given your feedback a lot of thought, and here's what I think we should do. So anyway, the key is to not invest too much in that initial meeting, because it's an info gathering session. And they will really appreciate that you've tried to get clarity rather than just throwing something out there so that you seem professional, because actually, I think it's going to have the opposite effect. I hope that helped, Rhonda. And let us know what happens with the builder. All right, my next question comes from Kristen. And Kristen says, my client asked to have their rug rolled up yesterday. They don't like it. They want something more formal for the room. I had gotten a lavender jute rug. It was simple and soft, but I do not know what to add to this room now. Well, Kristen, I understand your dilemma. First of all, the room you've already created is gorgeous. I think you've done a beautiful job. It is obviously a formal living room that has a baby grand piano in the corner that's this rich mahogany brown. You have a fireplace in the middle that's white with a beige tile hearth. You have these beautiful window treatments that are lattice. You've got a really striking navy wingback chair in the corner. You've used a touch of brass. You've got this coffee table that has a marble top with a brass base. And you've got these beautiful mahogany end tables that also have a marble inlay. I mean, there's so much to love about this room, and it does feel quite formal. So I'm really excited about the choices you already made. And then, of course, you have a beautiful abstract canvas piece above the sofa that's really setting the stage for the color palette. That being said, this abstract piece has so many colors, whether they be lavender or blue or green or yellow, that it gives you quite a palette to work from. Now, this client is wanting something more formal, and their room, if I had to sum up the style word, would be transitional. So there's curving lines, there's detail. That mahogany baby grand is really giving me a lot of clues as to what the style is. And so we need to go with something that maybe is a little bit more traditional on that range. Transitional is a combination of contemporary mixed with traditional. And so if they're wanting a more formal feel, I would skew more towards a more formal traditional rug, which may mean a more traditional pattern, like a Persian style rug with a medallion in the middle that maybe becomes the new inspiration piece. Maybe it has more colors than what is found in this abstract, or maybe it is very subdued and just has a couple of colors. It's a tone on tone, but has that quite traditional pattern. Because this room already has quite a formal vibe. And I do kind of agree with your clients that even though I can't see the rug in any of these images, jute would be the wrong way to go, in my opinion. Jute is a more casual texture meant for more casual living, whether it's coastal and beachy or just simplistic and rustic. I think that that does set the wrong tone, even if it did feel soft underfoot. I would be more inclined to go with that traditional texture of wool and that traditional pattern, even if you go in a more contemporary colorway that's tone on tone, rather than doing something that's super lively, like a full blown Persian with lots of different colors. So I hope that helps, Kristen. But make sure that you do a mood board to show the client a couple of different rug options, because returning a rug, as you already know, is so time intensive and can be expensive. This large 8 by 10 or 9 by 12 rug that you get for this room is going to be $200 to ship initially, potentially. And then it's also going to be that same amount to return if there's no intrinsic issue with the rug, they just don't like it. That's a big investment that they don't see back for something that they may not enjoy. And clients oftentimes have a hard time visualizing when they're just looking at a picture of the item versus seeing it in situ, versus seeing a visual representation of it. So lean hard on that mood board and create a really beautiful visual collage so that they can understand what it will look and feel like before they pull the trigger and make that investment, even if the investment is just on the shipping.
And now it's time for a quick commercial break. Are you a fan of this podcast? Do you wish there was even more juicy content for you to sink your ears into? Well, there is. You can become a premium member of this podcast for $5.99 a month and get full access to an archive of over 50 bonus episodes. Additionally, we release a bonus episode every single month. That's a ton of extra content, including my personal interior design diaries, extra tips, my talking about trends, and so much more. Additionally, you'll be keeping us on the airwaves each and every week because your premium membership money goes directly back to making this podcast amazing. Check us out at affordableinteriordesign.com. Click on podcast to learn more and to become a premium member today.
My next question comes from Rita. Rita says, I love this art from Wayfair, but it only comes as a single and I need a pair. Do you know of a source for comparable artwork at this Wayfair price point? I also really love this artwork, Rita. It is very subtle. It's an abstract. It almost looks like beachy waves, but again, it's so subtle. And the reason I'm saying it looks like waves is because it's got a very light blue at the top. Then it's broken up in the middle by this kind of white line that almost looks like seafoam. And then below, you've got this kind of coppery brown with darker blues fading into darker grays, which could either represent sand or dark, choppy waters. So I'm taking this abstract and kind of interpreting it, if you will. When I am looking for two pieces, I don't even bother looking at one piece of art because I'm going to get so invested, so married in to this one piece that I'm very excited about that will never work. So when I'm trying to select two pieces, I search immediately when I'm doing my search online for diptych, which is DIPTYCH. So I do diptych blue art, right? Or I try and get as specific as possible. So it's kind of like when you're asking for something for Christmas or for Hanukkah. And you say, I'd like a blue necklace. Okay, well, that opens us up to lots of different things, right? And it opens your partner up to many different interpretations of what a blue necklace looks like. But you probably have in your mind that you wanted a sapphire on a gold chain that has a small diamond on the top and that is no bigger than a quarter. Right. Or something like that. I'm just speculating that your partner has a lot of money to invest in this particular gift. But the more specific you can be, the more easily you will get what you want. And that's the exact same thing when I'm using a search engine. If I know what I'm looking for, if I'm looking for a two-piece abstract artwork that has blue prominently featured, I will do diptych blue artwork abstract. Now, diptych will get you so far, but we know that wording is very important in the algorithm of Google. So I would also do pair of pieces, set of two artwork blue abstract. You want to be really clear. And I would never just look for artwork because there's many more singlets or individual pieces than you will find pairs. So start by requesting exactly what you want. This is not just a design lesson. This is a life lesson. If there's something you want, get very specific and manifest it. It will happen much more easily, and you'll find that it's a much more productive way to move forward. My next question comes from Leo. Leo writes, I'm always on the hunt for knockoffs of expensive high-end pieces. For instance, I love cascading chandeliers. Most are over $4,000. Do you know of anything that's half of that? My client loves this style, but cascading chandeliers are out of the budget. Thank you. All right. So I don't like to use the term knockoff, but so many pieces are inspired by famous, expensive, high-end pieces. And you'll find that once you do some comparison shopping, whether you're looking in high-end magazines or on high-end websites, you'll see that when you go look at West Elm, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, Bow Concept, they are using a lot of those, especially at places like CB2 that are more trendy, as inspiration for their pieces. What I like to do when I'm looking for a specific thing is I take a screenshot of the piece I'm excited about. So this cascading glass waterfall type chandelier that has the brass chain and the brass metal finish. And I will take a screenshot and I will put it in a Google image search. So instead of putting words into the bar, the search term on Google, I will just drag on my Mac that image into the search bar and it will find me tons of options. And then if I click the shopping modifier on the left-hand side, I can filter by price point. I can filter by review. I can filter by all sorts of things that will help me to get just what I'm looking for within the price point that my client can afford. Now, Amazon is also introducing this feature, and it's so interesting because the other day I was on Facebook and I saw a friend who was at this party. And I loved her dress. And of course, I could have just written her, "Where did you get your dress?" But I use the term friend loosely. I actually knew her in high school. She was a grade older than me, and she was in all the plays, and she was so glamorous and so amazing. And turns out she's still glamorous and amazing, but we have never talked, not even in high school. I don't know how we became friends. That's, for the Facebook algorithm to figure out. But anyway, we did, and I've been following her for years, and she always wears fabulous things, but this dress I knew would look perfect on me. So I took a screenshot of her in the dress. And she was kind of to the side and she was drinking some fabulous cocktail and she was talking with someone. So it wasn't even a straight on shot or even a very clear shot. I put it in to Google and the image search, and it found the exact dress in 2 seconds, faster than she could have gotten back to me if I would have DM'd her. It was amazing. And then I happened to find a knockoff of the dress because it was more than I wanted to spend. I happened to find it at Nordstrom Rack. I ordered it. It came again faster than she could have DM'd me. I put it on in the mirror, was so excited. It looked horrible. I'll be returning it this weekend. Long story short, it was a beautiful dress. It just was not beautiful on me. You know how that goes, guys. So even the knockoff was amazing and flattered her. Just wasn't my vibe, especially after having a baby. I don't know what looks good on me anymore, but after my third baby, things just have not bounced back in the 8 months that she's been in my life. So we'll have to be redefining our shapes and silhouettes. But that's just to show you the power of the search bar and the power of finding that inspiration piece and knowing that you can find it, even that exact piece, which is what I did at a much lower price. All right. My last question comes from Alexis. Alexis writes, "Betsy, I've never had a project where the client wants butcher block countertops until right now. Pros, cons?" As someone, Alexis, who has a butcher block countertop, let me just tell you, no way, Jose. You get it because it looks rustic. You get it because it looks casual and fun and easy breezy. And this thing is so high maintenance and I hate it. So my countertops in my kitchen are quartz. And in the center, my island has a butcher block top. It stains. It has watermarks from cups. My son accidentally put a skillet on top of it without a trivet underneath. It has a big black ring now. It has scratches because I have to keep telling my children, make sure you use a cutting board when you're cutting your apple. And they invariably forget. And then we get a big gouge. This thing causes me so much agita. I can't wait to replace it. Now, of course, you can get it refinished, sanded down and restained, but that is expensive. And I will tell you, a lot of people want butcher block because they think it's going to be cheaper than a stone alternative. Absolutely not true. The investment initially of the butcher block is expensive. You'll find that it's very similar to some quartzes or even natural stones, and the upkeep is exhausting. Do not recommend. All right, everyone. It has been great talking to you about your clients, your businesses. Keep those questions coming. I can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye. Do you love this podcast? Do you wish you could learn even more? Well, we have an online class bundle. Our online class bundle is comprised of 3 online classes: beautifying your home for less, styling your home, and the fundamentals of feng shui. Each one of those 3 classes is between 30 and 45 minutes long and chock filled with visuals and tips, things that will help you to style your own space or help out with other spaces. Additionally, with the pack of 3 classes, you get an autographed copy of my book, Affordable Interior Design. You get all of that for only $99. Once again, that's the 3 online classes as well as the book for only $99. You just go to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to buy your bundle today. And if one of those classes sounded intriguing, but maybe you already have my book or some of the other topics are not of interest, you can buy the classes individually at that site as well. Each class is $40. So head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to get your bundle or your online class today.
A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MBCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.